Welcome to my program, Bashy's Corner. Danes are one of the most educated people, at least that's what they say, on the planet. Education is free and Danish public schools cater to the need of the public. But since few years, Denmark has undergone many changes. For example, and especially that affected education system. For example, mother tongue education is abolished in most municipalities. Number of pupils in a class have been increased. Long school hours, school reform focusing more on control than on education. Quality of education, demonizing of ethnic minority children, their performance in schools, and the status of bilingual teachers are few of the issues we would like to discuss. We are fortunate to have a person who is qualified to take up these challenges. Jamal Bakhteyar comes with a very cosmopolitan background and has many years of experience in the education branch. Welcome to my program, Jamal.
Thank you.
Let's start with your life, because you are a very cosmopolitan person. You hail from Pakistan, I understand. You studied in Egypt and UK and ended up in Denmark. Yeah. Was it the love of a lady which brought you there?
Well, you can say in some way, yes.
Okay.
But there was also major portion of it was due to education, because I was studying in Egypt when I met my wife and we got married. We stayed in Egypt. I studied over there.
Okay.
Then I went back to Pakistan, completed some of my studies, took a bachelor in law, and then I thought, we were free to decide where it would be. And
she's Danish?
She is Norwegian Danish.
No, okay.
And that's also the thing, because you have a lot of options.
Yes.
You want to go to Norway, you want to Denmark, you want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
I came to Denmark in 1991, and tried to see how much of my education I could use there. But it was quite disturbing, because at that time, the system of education was not geared to educated people. You had minority groups who were working in different fields, but they were not the educated fields. So I went to the universities, tried to find out how I could carry on my career and things. And it was kind of difficult.
In the beginning?
In the beginning.
But what were you doing in Egypt? From Pakistan to Egypt, what did you study there?
I got a scholarship to study in Al-Azhar University, which
That's
is one
very
of
prestigious.
It's a prestigious university. And it was pretty interesting, because I came to learn Arabic.
Oh.
I could use some of my English, but mostly the communication was in Arabic. And it was a great gift that I took with me from there. And I studied partly engineering. I was trying to get into the architecture field, but my father is an engineer, two of my elder brothers are an engineer, and when my younger brother also said he wants to be an engineer, I thought, we have enough of an engineer.
Exactly.
So I opted to go the other way, and law was the field which was kind of very attractive. You have philosophy in it, you have social studies in it, you have a lot of, constructions.
But from law to studying Arabic, what is the connection?
I went to a university in Pakistan,
Yes.
in Islamabad, which is the international university, where they used Arabic and English as a medium.
It's an Islamic university.
It is the Islamic university in Islamabad. And they used a combination of the secular law as well as the Muslim law. And at that time, there was a lot of interest in the Muslim world to see how the two two systems can function together. And it was very interesting, because I had a great advantage that I had both the languages in hand, and I finished a 4 years study in 3 years. So that was good.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
But I understand that you also have a master's in law from a very prestigious school in London, where I also tried to get involved, but I couldn't. It's in Oriental School of Oriental and African Studies in London, specializing in ethnic minorities in Europe.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't practice law then?
No, I always had the intention of doing something academic. So when I came to Denmark, I went to the university and I said, look, I would like to work with the minority groups here, the legal system, the social system, but everything was in Danish. So how do you start everything when you just come to that country?
True.
You don't know the language. So they say, well, you can register yourself, but in 2 years, we expect that you are speaking and writing in Danish.
In 2 years?
In 2 years. And I thought, that's not viable. So I did some work. I worked in one of the schools over here, private schools. And
as a volunteer?
As a teacher.
As a teacher?
As a teacher.
Okay.
And then I saw that my options would be that I should go further and educate myself in the European context. So I went to London and did these studies. I had the chance of studying even in Oxford and Cambridge, but they did not have anything with minorities in Europe.
That's true.
So I opted this SOAS, and I found out that actually SOAS was much better equipped to tackle the issues of ethnic minorities, because they have people from different countries. My supervisor was a German who was married with an Indian lady and had a complete understanding of what's happening with the Pakistani minorities in UK, in Germany, in France. And therefore was a good combination of students who were coming from France, Germany, England, Canada, Australia, apart from the Asian countries.
It's a pity that, I mean, it's wonderful that your heart beats for minorities, but it's a pity that we didn't meet before when you came, because we were very involved in NGO building at that time.
Yes.
And then after Red Cross, you switched to teaching. Why? I mean, teaching is, you are an academic.
Yeah.
And then teaching, you know.
We just missed a link over there. That when I finished my master's, I came back over here in Denmark.
Okay.
And I say, what am I supposed to work?
Yeah.
I go to the Copenhagen University and try to find a supervisor who would enlist me as a PhD student to do. And they say, yeah, we have a supervisor, but the supervisor has specialized about minorities in the USSR. And I said, okay, that person won't be able to help me much about. And I said, isn't there someone who is working with the Danish minorities? Not at that level.
I remember that very well.
I went on to take a job in the Danish Red Cross in the asylum system. And after I worked for several years with the asylum seekers, youth asylum seekers, and then your question about that, after I finished with Red Cross, then I went into, because by that time my Danish had improved, and I got connected to a person who was working with the bilingual section in Copenhagen municipality, and he kind of encouraged me to seek one of the positions as a bilingual teacher. So I started teaching in Copenhagen as a bilingual teacher, and one of my first project was to start a mode test class on Strandvej School in Østerbro. And 3 months after it was established, and I thought, okay, it's going well. And my supervisor says, well, Jamal, it worked over here. We would like to have you in another school. So I went to Kilwell School, started the mode test class over there, and started helping with them.
So mode test class is when minority children come?
When they first come to Denmark.
Yes, and you put them there so they can familiarize.
They get language teaching, they get mathematics, they get all kind of subjects, but the focus is in the language, Danish language teaching. And they have up till 2 years to come into here and start it. Normally, most of the students, they gather the language and then they move on into the classes.
So do they still have it?
They still have it in Copenhagen, yeah.
But since 1997, you have been working with children with special needs.
Yes.
What are those special needs?
You see, what happened was, when I was doing this work with Kilwell School, so my supervisor said, Jamal, one of our bilingual teachers in a special section is been leaving. So would you like to work with that field? And I said, okay, yeah, it looks interesting. It's always interesting to get some new ways. Special needs school is a school where you have children with different kind of handicaps, right? The word handicap is used in old days. Now you use special education, and also the word is used those who have a lower functionability.
That's
right.
true.
They don't either it is a physical thing or it could be a mental thing.
Yes.
Our school, the Strandpark School, is a school where you have the students who have the lowest capacity, both physical and mental. In Copenhagen, we have 4 levels of special education. Phase 1 is special education in a normal school. Some students get some help, they will be educated in the normal school. Phase 2 is what we call special klasserække. That is special education in some classes who are not together with normal classes.
Okay, separate.
Right. So these are special classes in normal schools, normal public schools. Then there is phase 3. We have 2 special schools of phase 3.
In Copenhagen?
In Copenhagen. And we have phase 4. My school is a phase 4 school, level 4 school. And there are 4 special schools of that type in Copenhagen.
So how many children are we talking about, especially among ethnic minority children?
In Strandpark School, there are about 84 students, pupils. Out of them, we have about 44% are of ethnic minority students. And in the beginning, I tell you that when I started to work, then there was a lot of discussion going on that do we have a proportionally larger number of kids from ethnic minorities who are in some way handicapped because there is this tradition of cousin marriages, right? Intermarriages in families. But it has never been proved in research.
Scientifically, it's not proven.
It cannot be proved.
Okay. Besides your educational work in school, you have extensive network of other activities also. I know some of them. For example, you have been education counselor with Copenhagen Youth Center for a few years. Was it an NGO work or it was also specialized work?
You see, it's interesting how people keep on moving you. So when I was doing this multi class work, support education and special education, my supervisor says, Jamal, there is a counselor who is going on pension. So would you like to work with youth counseling? I said, okay, that sounds interesting.
And you said yes to everything.
So no, for me, it's a kind of graduation from one phase to another, and my whole understanding of the education system, right? You're working in the normal education system, you are working in the special education system. Now you go a level up to see how the youth education system is functioning.
But it's connected.
And it is connected because some of the students from the normal school go to the youth. I mean, what we normally say 10th grade at that time was still in public school. 11th and 12th grade, that is the gymnasium, right? And from there on, they go on into other education.
But then you also are chair of Novum. If I understand, there's a network of highly educated foreigners in Denmark. Why was that established?
You see, when you have
Is it an elite class?
No, it was not in any way kind of elite, but it is a class which has not been getting the attention it should be, in the sense that we are getting people from other countries who are actually pretty well educated. There are some of them are highly educated in this sense. And when they come to Denmark, they are treated as that they don't know anything just because they don't know the Danish language or that they are not aware of some of the cultures in the workplace and so on. So what Novum was established was about to put these people together to understand what their needs is and to make the municipalities, the state, and the places of work aware of that don't use your energy on everything. These people are educated people. Just give them a language course, give them some knowledge about culture, workplace culture, other cultures, and they will move on. And in the first 2 years of our work with the Novum, it showed that 80% of our people who were taking courses with us were actually well working in places.
It's the same thing when people are coming now with green card, very highly educated people, but still washing dishes.
Yeah. So, because I had seen my example from earlier that I used to meet a lot of people who were educated, but they were driving taxis, they were doing kiosks.
So your focus was on providing them opportunities.
It was not only for them, it was also for the benefit of the Danish society.
And then again, one of your side steps, you know, since April 2004, you're also a member of executive board of Copenhagen Teachers Union.
Yeah.
How did you end up there?
That is semi-political work.
Yes.
Because the teachers union has to look at the interest of the teacher community. And my entry into this field was also from the awareness that the bilingual students, the bilingual parents, and bilingual education is not getting the proper attention it should be.
True.
Both in the municipality level, but also on the state level. So at that time, I was also in the executive body of a small association for mother tongue and bilingual teachers. And we make courses for teachers and also for general for everyone. And we try to create awareness about what the needs of the bilingual students in public school system was. And apart from the linguistic side, there were also many other issues about better cooperation with parents, how to you be better to lose conflicts and things like that, solve the conflicts. And
so let me ask you about your union of teachers. Recently, your union of teachers was forced to accept school reforms. You know that.
Yeah.
And
2013.
Yeah.
2013.
So what happened, and what are those reforms in a nutshell?
The Folkeskole reform, as it is called, it is not actually what had anything to do with the conflict with the teachers. The conflict with the teachers was based on that every 3 years, the teachers union and the state sit down together and make an agreement about how the teachers are going to be put to work in some way, right? So there was questions about their pay, there was question about their functions, and there was this question about the time. Now the state was saying that the teachers are using very less time in teaching and they are using a lot of time in other functions. The problem had been that a lot of other functions have come into the school regime which the teachers have to take because the other sections of the society are so busy. Parents are busy, all other people are busy. So every time it says, I mean, the student comes to you every day, they have some social problems, right? The family has economical problems, you also have to look at them, and so on and so on. So a lot of time of the teachers was being used. It was not that the teachers were not working.
But they were also, government also said that they were using too long leaves, you know. The teachers.
If you look at that question, you will have to see the system, how the system works, right? Once the school is closed, let us say in the last week of June, the school is closed and it will open in the first week of August. Now, does that make any sense that all the teachers should come to work over there? The idea is that the teachers, they work extra in the rest of the weeks. That means the other, you have 52 weeks in the year.
The calendar,
In the 40 weeks, they don't work 37 hours in average. They actually now work 42 hours in average.
But
so
they get
these
paid
hours,
for 37 hours.
But they get paid for 37. But these hours are adjusted in these periods where the schools are closed. So the idea that teachers are getting a lot of holidays doesn't actually work.
But we also hear that many school teachers are leaving because the working conditions are not good. Do we have teachers enough in Denmark?
Huge problem.
Huge problem?
Huge problem.
Okay. Yeah. What about ethnic minorities learning to be teachers?
Last year, 16% of the teachers in Copenhagen left their post to go to other places because they were so unsatisfied with the situation in Copenhagen. Copenhagen is a big commune. It's a big municipality. It's the biggest municipality, and the municipality should have put some extra effort into keeping the norms in the school better in some way, so they keep attracting. On the national level, we have almost a lack of 6,000 teachers.
Okay. Jamal, let's talk about ethnic minorities in school system. For 20 years, you have been being one of the top men, in the union of teachers, especially of mother tongue education and bilingual teachers. Yet, during the same period, mother tongue education has been abolished, as you know, by law,
yeah.
and municipalities can give it or not. It's up to them.
Yeah.
And while most experts, educational experts I spoke with, they believe that mother tongue education is a great help to learn Danish language.
It is.
Why did you let it happen?
It was not my option.
No, but
what happened is that I came into this field in, as you say, 97. In 2002, the government got changed, right? The Venstre and Dansk Folkeparti and Conservative, they came into power, and they made this law that the Ministry of Education will no longer help the municipalities to give mother tongue education. So even the municipalities were in some way forced to close their, even some very friendly municipalities.
It's a political decision.
It was a purely political decision.
Tell me then, for many years, we have been hearing that the minority kids are doing very bad in schools. Their parents are not helping them. But in a recent integration barometer, it comes out that 89% bilingual students are doing very fine in written Danish tests and mathematics, and 95% in oral Danish tests and spellings.
Yeah.
It says complete different. It gives complete different pictures.
You see, just the result of students is not enough to evaluate that they are doing well. What happens is that when they go further into the youth education, then they start getting problems. So even if they might have good results in the folk school level, when they go into the youth classes, youth education, right, gymnasium or technical school or things like that, you start to find out that they are having problems. And we have a problem with especially the ethnic minority boys. The girls are doing well. They're doing well. I mean, when you compare it with the Danish students level, there is a slight percentage difference between girls. I think it's 1.5, but with the boys, it's more than 2%.
Why?
And it is because the school system in some way is not geared to tackle some of the things these boys have. I mean, they need some attentions in a different way.
Okay.
They need also a bit better, more disciplined constructions, and they also need some boys are not so much linguistic as girls are. Girls pick up a language much quicker, much faster.
They're smarter.
Boys are mathematical. Boys are mathematical, and they do well in that field.
But
the language barrier still keeps the difference.
Many ethnic groups, Pakistani, Turks, Iraqis, they have started their own private school, taken advantage of the law where there is. Is it good for the integration? Some
private schools are doing well, yes.
So, but the idea is okay?
The idea is very fine because it is based on the idea that the people who want to decide a system which is not exactly as the state dictates it, they can open an institution where they will be reliable, they will be responsible and reliable to educate their own children, right? Now the problem with the minority schools is that the parents, the board of parents is not sometimes qualified enough to check what is going on in the school system.
But Danish Education Ministry checks them very often.
Danish Education Ministry does not come there every day.
Not every day, but they check them quite often. The focus is there.
Yes.
Then another important issue.
But you see that the change and the evaluation should stay inside the institution, should come from inside, and the outsiders can come in and see whether doing very well.
Another important issue which I want your opinion is that among the Muslim communities, it has been discussed all these preventive actions, both from the police and from Secret Service, there have been actually guidelines to schools. I don't know, you can confirm or deny that, that schools should keep an eye on those children if they change their behavior, if they have a little beard, or talk about Sharia and all that, What should we think about that?
Well, there are no exact guidelines as such to schools to say that you have to do this and you have they're working on it. The Ministry of Education is looking at it.
Okay.
I was recently at a seminar where this thing was
discussed.
I actually asked the people from the intelligence community about, are you looking at it, or what are the ideas you are looking at it? And they also said that wait till the Ministry of Education comes out with an idea of what they have. So if you ask me that does a teacher has a responsibility to report that a student is getting a beard or a girl is putting on niqab, no, it doesn't. But if they are worried about some activities they are taking part in, which would in some way affect their education or in some way affect their future, then the teachers has a responsibility to note it and get it to the school headmaster, and it is up to the school headmaster to see whether they will react on it.
Jamal, beside education, now we have talked that in detail, you also work a lot of charity work, both in Denmark and Pakistan.
Yeah.
Have you got 10 hands and 20 legs? How do you do
mine
that?
has to work a bit faster, I would say. Yeah. It's a pretty lucky thing that the nature of my work has given me the opportunity to learn a lot of things, a lot of different systems. And in some way, it has also given me the opportunity to see where are the resources and where they have to be used, right? This is a very important thing in terms of NGO work, that you see where the resources are and you can see how they can best be utilized in some other places where they are needed.
Jamal, you express yourself like a politician. Any plans to go into politics?
Well, I've thought about it, and we are in contact with politicians, but with the amount of work I'm doing right now, it's not just possible, but it cannot be excluded in the future, maybe.
Thank you very much, Jamal, for a lovely interview.
Thank you for invitation.
And thank you for our viewers for listening and watching us, and I'm sure you have learned a lot from Jamal. Until next time, take good care of yourself.